Okay, you can hear us now. Okay. So we're going to run with this. I don't know, Charlie, if you want to just kind of restate quickly what you were about to say for the record.
Okay, what we'll say for the record is this is a meeting of the Underhill Development Review Board for Monday, December 4th, 2023. I'm just going to roll into the hearing, 6:35, right? So we can go, this is a sketch plan review for a proposed 8-unit plan residential development known as Harvest Crossing on 422 Vermont Route 15. The sketch plan review is a meeting on the application for proposed development on land located in Underhill, Vermont. This application is subject to review under the 2011 Unified Land Use and Development Regulations as amended through March 6, 2018, and the 2015 Road Driveway and Trail Ordinance as amended December 18, 2018. Sketch plan review is an informal pre-application review process intended to equate the DRB with proposed subdivision during the conceptual stage of the design process before the applicant incurs significant expense in preparing a formal application. This informal review and discussion at the regular meeting of the DRB helps identify the type of subdivision layout that will best meet the needs of the subdivider and the requirements of these regulations. The sketch plan review is not a hearing and requirements for interested party status do not apply. What this means is we don't swear speakers in, but we'll ask you to identify yourself, give your name and your address to the board before your comments so we can keep an accurate record of this meeting in the minutes. All the exhibits that were submitted in part of this application are available for public review on the town website or physically available in the town zoning and planning office. Copies of the rules of procedure that the board follows are also available on the town website. There may be copies over there. Did you put rules of procedures up over there? No, okay. So the rules of procedures are only available on the town website, or they can be obtained from Brad Holden, the interim planning and zoning administrator. At this point in time, I'd like to hear from the applicant or their representatives. So who's representing the applicants here?
This is George McLean with Adjourn Consulting on the virtual side of things.
You'll have to mute, Charlie.
Oh, sorry, Brett, I didn't quite catch that.
Hey, George.
Okay, so I'll just give a quick rundown of...
Hey, George, why don't you give us an overview of the project? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so just give a...
So what we're proposing here, or the way we're thinking about this project is a...
Please give us an overview of the project.
Yep, a 9-lot planned residential development, primarily for residential use. So we're proposing a subdivision of 9 lots. Lots 1 through 7 will be for the residential side of things. They'll range between about 2/10 to 3/10 of an acre. And the plan as we're showing it now is 6 single-family residences and 1 duplex for a total of 8 units. In addition to the residential lots, we've got a common land lot 8 of about 5 acres that will be retained as open space for the planned residential development. That open space includes the majority of the wetlands and their associated buffers and the primary agricultural soil on the site. So we're preserving as much of the natural resource areas on the parcel as we feasibly can. In addition, we've got a lot 9 of approximately 1.6 acres that's going to be conveyed to the United Church of Underhill, who has purchased the lot that we're proposing the PRD on. And that lot will be merged with the existing land containing the church. It's kind of right out back of the existing parcel that the church has. The idea behind that open space and lot 9 is the area where the harvest market takes place. So they'll use most of that land to continue the harvest market activities that are going on there. The residential lots are going to be proposed as perpetually affordable housing. They're talking with Habitat for Humanity on a plan to build out and phase that development through so that we can have some affordable housing within Underhill, which is a thing that I think we all agree is important at this time. As far as the details that we have fleshed out so far for the development, we're going to propose a shared access road off of Route 15 at kind of the existing curb cut that we walked when we did our site visit on Saturday. Individual driveways to each residence. For water and wastewater utilities, we propose a connection to the Underhill municipal water supply. And then on-site wastewater systems, we found 2 areas that were suitable for a shared system to support the proposed houses we're looking at. So we'd be municipal water and on-site sewer. We've also got some stormwater infrastructure shown on there. We're proposing kind of one large detention basin in the southeastern portion of the development that we would use to meet the stormwater requirements both at the town and the state level. We are requesting 2 modifications to the dimensional standards as part of the planned residential development. One is for lot size. The proposed houses are less than the 1 acre minimum, but we have not exceeded the overall density of the parcel as it's 8.7 acres and we're proposing 8 units. So our unit density is not being exceeded, but the individual lot sizes will be less than 1 acre for the residential side. The second modification is for the internal property line setbacks. We're showing those as 10 feet on the proposed plan. And that's just to promote the cluster development that we're looking at to keep things away from wetlands and the open space that we're proposing on lots 8 and the boundary line adjustment area on lot 9. For all the external property lines, we would be meeting the 20-foot minimum that is dedicated for, I believe this is the Underhill Flats Village Center District. So we'll be meeting the external property line setbacks. We're requesting a waiver or modification to the internal property lines. So that's kind of a quick rundown of what we're proposing there. We included some information in the packet. We've got a wetland report showing the wetland classifications there. There's 2 class 2 wetlands and one large class 2 and 2 class 3 wetlands. So at the state level, the class 3 wetlands do not have any buffers, but we have shown a 25-foot buffer zone for those per the town regulations. That in the plan, that's the area shaded in blue, is the 25-foot setback for the class 3 wetlands and or the 50-foot setback for the class 2s. And that's kind of the gist of it. We're excited to hear what everyone's thoughts are and what some of the primary areas of concern might be that we would want to focus on moving on to the preliminary application. Was that a good enough rundown, or I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything on my end?
So George, if you could clarify for us, the vehicle access will be primarily off of Route 15. There'll be no access through Harvest Crossing.
Correct, yes. The only access we're proposing is off of Route 15.
Could you clarify for us where the vehicle access will be?
It will be to the north of the fire station, where there is an existing somewhat paved curb cut and farm road entering in the parcel.
Because you guys are accessing off of Route 15, you'll be required to get a Vermont.
Hold on, Charlie. We're not, something's not going on here. Try it again. Try speaking again.
Can you hear me now?
Can you, George, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. It seems like there might be a delay. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I can hear you.
George, can you hear us?
Yes.
George, can you hear us?
Yes.
I was going to say, at this point in time, we'll hear from our planning and zoning administrator, but he's otherwise busy. So go ahead, Penny.
I'm Penny Miller. I'm just saying this for the record, that on Saturday, December 2nd, we had a site visit at the Harvest Crossing project area, and I have typed up the names, and I will send them to you, Brad, so you can submit them to Donna for adding to the notes, the meeting minutes.
So is there anybody here from the public who'd like to comment on the application that we heard presented before us?
Hi, this is Dory Rickety.
If you do want to talk about it, we'd ask that you come up, sit down at the table next to Brad. You'll have to work the microphone. It's not hard. Green to talk, red not to talk. What we're planning on doing is walking around, not walking around, but asking people who are in the room first if they'd like to comment.
Hi, this is Dory Rickety.
Dory, we're not selecting. We'll get to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. So what we'd like to do is go through any folks in here present first, and then we'll go to folks online. All right. So if no one in here wants to talk, I'll move forward to the folks online.
So,
Yeah.
please state your name.
So I'm Bill Frank. I live on Poker Hill Road in Underhill, and I've been a member of the United Church of Underhill for many years, and many years on Poker Hill Road. Over the years, there's been a lot of talk. Okay.
We're having some, it's just, I'm not watching this. George, I'm gonna just text you. Can you hear Bill talking here on the end? We got some problems.
I can hear. I think there's like a 15-second delay.
Okay, go ahead, Bill. I can see that. See, notice the little green on the right, on the left corner of the screen up there? Maybe you can't see that far, but there's a little green there. It's going down the left.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. There it is.
Okay, so go ahead, as long as we're seeing.
I can hear. I think there's like a 15-second delay.
It's a long time, but go ahead.
Okay. So again, I'm Bill Frank. I've lived on Poker Hill Road for many years in Underhill, and I've been a member of the United Church of Underhill almost all of that time.
Don't just close out. Don't, yeah. That's a bad idea when we're having.
I wonder if I'm still Bill. So there has been, over the years, there's been a talk about affordability for people coming to Underhill and living in Underhill. And when the church had the opportunity to purchase the property behind the church that we're talking about right now and use it as a place where we could actually have some affordable housing, a group of affordable housing. I will tell you that not only church members, but a lot of people in town got excited about this. Not only the fact that we might have affordable housing, but also the fact that we were going to partner with Habitat for Humanities and be part of building this thing. And Habitat had a lot of interesting comments to tell us about this, and the fact that it is in the flats area where there is people can walk to many things of even living on Poker Hill Road that you don't get that opportunity so much. So I jumped on the idea. My position in the church sort of kept me off the committee to separate being treasurer of the church and treasurer of this other project. But I have really looked forward to helping them in any way I could. And another part that I'd like to share is that about a year ago, the select board chose to create a committee to determine how we could spend the ARPA money that we received, $650,000. 7 of us formed this committee and had many, many requests. I will tell you, it was amazing. Over 50 people wrote in requests. And Harvest Crossing was one. And as we were going through, even, with 50 requests and $650,000, you think it'd be pretty easy to give out money. But, there was a lot of things. But it was very clear when we got down to really divvying it up that this kind of project is what really will help Underhill a lot. And this money that came to us from the federal government couldn't have been a much better way of spending it. And so we actually chose, Harvest Crossing received the second largest amount from the ARPA fund. So another Underhill group that really believes in this project. Thank you.
Would anyone else present in the room like to speak?
My name is Maureen Collins-Kolb. I live on Pinnacle Ridge in Underhill. My family moved here in May of this year, and we feel really blessed. Just a matter of happenstance brought us to Underhill that we are thrilled about. And learning about this project has been just really exciting. There's a real shortage of houses available, affordable or not, and increasing the affordable housing stock here and opening the opportunity for Underhill to be available to more people is, I think, something that is just really wonderful, and I'm strongly in support of. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, I have something to say here. So I've been in communication with George, and the delay is quite significant because Bill was still talking while this woman came up to the, so I think, and I don't know, it's your call, Charlie, but I know everybody's in favor of this, but do we want to keep it germane to the hearing itself? I know there's a lot to talk about the background, and it's a great story, but just for sake of getting through this meeting, how would you like to proceed? Okay, sounds good. And also, at some point, I would like to read these into the record, these two things we have here.
Why don't you read those into the record now?
I would like to make sure everybody's got a chance to speak.
Okay. Would anyone else in the room like to speak? So we have a sizable delay, but we'll go through folks online. You should be able to raise a hand under the reaction tab if you'd like to testify. Um, Like to provide any comment, I should say.
I have a couple of concerns. Am I able to talk yet or? Yes? Okay. The delay is odd. I'm Dory Rickety. I live on Harvest Run. Are you hearing me? Yes, okay. So I just have a few concerns. I think this is a great
Go ahead,
project.
Dory.
I really do. I think it's a great project. I really do. Housing is definitely needed for lower income people. But because we live right here, we're right behind the church, I do obviously have some concerns. One of the concerns I have is the septic system. I know it's been talked that a conventional system is okay, and somebody mentioned a shared septic system. So I'm concerned with the brook that runs down the side of this property, and if there's any possibility of a septic contaminating the water, which then runs into Browns River. And I believe that our Jericho Underhill community well is down there as well. So that is a concern. 5 homes would produce a lot of sewage and septic runoff. And then my other concern is, well, it's just a question. How many units per year would be built? And then, because I know that there's some lots for sale up here on Minns Lane as well, so that those would be other homes that would be built as well, possibly. So I didn't know if Underhill had some limits on how many new homes can be built per year. And then is there an HOA with this new development that would basically guarantee that the upkeep of the homes would be kept up so that they're in good shape for, long periods of time? And that is all. Those are my concerns.
Here we go. Now we're getting something. Go ahead, Charlie. Just ask George if he could answer those questions, maybe.
We're not done taking testimony yet. I'm going to go around the room and get concerns from everyone. We've cleared the room. We're going to work through the sheet. Please put in the chat, ask anyone who's online if they want to participate. Can you recognize Michaela?
Okay, Charlie. So Michaela said she's just really here to tending to observe and voice her support for the project. She hasn't said if she's really has anything to say here.
Concerns. Michaela, do you want to say?
Yeah, so we are gonna answer the questions that were raised earlier. We're just trying to get through all of the questions. George McCain has stated that he's ready to answer those questions at some point.
Can you type in the chat and see if anyone else would like to comment?
I don't know if there's a particular link or not. Stay on, but be difficult. Hopefully it's this time. So let's get the online stuff.
Okay, so to answer Dory's concerns there, regarding the separation to the brook and any kind of contamination there, we will be going through the state water and wastewater permitting program to get a permit for the on-site wastewater system and the municipal water connections. As part of that, we will be meeting all the required setbacks to the brook and to any surrounding water supplies. So yes, we will absolutely be respecting any and all of those buffers and protecting those resources from contamination. I don't know that we've settled on exactly how many units are going to be built per year. It would certainly be a phased project. They'll be working with Habitat for Humanity. So obviously they're not a commercial developer that can put up 8 units in a single summer. So I believe the plan is to, phase the sale of these lots out to Habitat for Humanity when they're ready to construct. I can talk with the folks, our contacts there, to see what they're anticipating for a phasing schedule and how many units they think would realistically be going up over the next few years. And then as far as an HOA, yes, there will need to be some kind of maintenance agreement there. Obviously, there will be shared infrastructure in the roadway and the shared wastewater systems. And we can address the issue of making sure there's a certain level of upkeep with regards to mowing lawns and doing that kind of thing. That would be typical of any kind of HOA to make sure that the project is kept in a reasonable fashion.
Thanks, George.
Are there any members of the board that have questions or comments?
Go ahead.
This is Meg Armstrong. I have a quick comment on the plan that's just listed, sketch plan SK1. There's some blue dotted lines that kind of traverse both the site and the back of the properties along Route 15. Are those natural watersheds? What are those blue lines?
The blue dotted lines are actually soil boundaries. So it's from USGS mapping, looking at the different soil types that are out there based on their certain parameters, the stormwater potential, the infiltration capacity. It's just a soil boundary.
Okay, thank you.
Penny Miller. George, I don't know that the regulations actually allow for an 9-lot subdivision on this property. The reason being that I believe the regulations say, and this doesn't affect how many units are on it necessarily, but how many lots there are. I believe the subdivision regulations intend that the subdivision has to be laid out traditionally or typically, standardly first to see that a piece of land can support that many lots before a PRD can then be created and the lots can be waive certain dimensional requirements. Can you hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. We did a subdivision, a PRD. We haven't done many on the DRB, and it was on the previous regulations that we had. It was the Albertini subdivision off of Pleasant Valley Road. And we asked them to provide just a very basic layout of lots that the subdivision could support a certain number of lots before they then suggested a PRD. So I'd like to ask the other board members if what they think about that. But I was just imagining in my mind, George, for instance, if you had 10 acres and 3/4 of it was wetland, and you only had a little strip across the bottom of it that was land that could be built on, you wouldn't, and it was 1 acre zoning, you wouldn't be able to fit 10 lots on that property because 7 acres of it was class 2 wetlands. So I think for a PRD, you have to be able to prove first that you can lay out lots in a traditional subdivision manner before you create a PRD. So let me, I don't know if I keep my microphone on or not, but I just wanted to talk to the other members about that. What are your impressions, or what is your recollection about the regulations?
So we traditionally look for a density plan and a sketch plan. Density proves the number of units that you can get in the parcel, right? You've got a significant amount of this parcel consumed by wetlands. So you think you cannot get a residence within those wetlands. We're not going to allow somebody to plant a house in a wetland. So that acreage gets taken from the total amount. So just because you got 9 acres doesn't mean you get 9 units. So what we're looking for from the consultant or from the applicant is a density plan first, then a sketch plan. Density plan says you can meet the conventional layout in accordance with our regulations. and the sketch plan means this is what I want, and waivers from our regulations.
And one other point is, in the regulations, I would have to find it right now, George, but it also talks about how the right-of-way has to be, the acreage of the right-of-way or dimensions have to be removed from the calculations. I can probably find that in a minute for you. It doesn't mean, however, for instance, if you had a 10-acre lot and seven acres of it was wetlands, it doesn't mean that you could only have 3 lots on it in the area that was not wetland. You can have wetland on a lot. It's just that a lot has to be able to support a building envelope, a house, and access. So it doesn't, I don't think it means that all the wetlands have to be removed from the acreage. It's just if you were to do a conventional layout, you have to be able to put a house and access on a lot.
Okay, I did not, I will look into that portion of the regs. Because certainly we're meeting the density of the overall acreage of the parcel.
And George, it doesn't, I mean, you have a lot here that you're suggesting with a duplex on it. And conceptually, every lot, if there were 4 lots, there could be 4 duplexes, or there could be multifamily housing on one of the lots. It's not a really referring to the unit, how many units on a lot, as much as how many lots, the density of lots.
Yeah, I'm reading through that density calculation piece, and I didn't have that same interpretation, but I will, I'll double check that and maybe work with Brad on making sure we're interpreting that correctly.
The alternative to that, George, is you could show us your interpretation and try to convince us otherwise.
Can do.
Charlie, what did you ask Penny? So we have the record.
I asked Penny what else she had.
That's it. It may be too early in the process to be asking the owner, confirming that the infrastructure will be put in before the first house building is built. We need to talk about those sorts of things, but I think they're details for a later time.
Agreed. Are there any other board members that have questions, Matt?
My only question too was about the density, but Penny, you brought up a good point. I'm wondering 4 lots with each with a duplex, if you'd get the same number of units, but would that have a different interpretation so far as number of lots on there?
I don't think it would. I think it would not be an issue for the DRB to have more units per lot. I think it would have to look to the owner or the future owner to say if they want to do that. Maybe Habitat for Humanity only likes a certain number of duplexes or triplexes and wants to have single family dwellings, but I don't think it would be a problem for us because I believe that is zoned for multifamily housing in that area.
Speak to that if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you look at the regulations, back to what Penny was getting at, in the Underhill Flats zoning district, there's up to 5 units allowed per acre. So, and per lot, which is 1 acre, which is we're in a 1 acre zone, 5 units per acre. So, and also along with that is conditional use review, which then could tie into the class 3 wetland with a 25-foot buffer where the buffer could be waived or be asked to be waived. I think it'd be if you want to go through the exercise of proving the 9 lots, I think it could be done.
That's traditionally how we've done it for PRDs here. We don't, we like to believe everyone, but we don't take it on word that you can get the number of lots into a project just because the acreage is there. We like to see a conventional layout that's in accordance with our regs to determine a density. In addition, there are certain density bonuses that are allowed in a planned residential development. So we would like to see those asks, and then we can come back and look at the conventional or the sketch plan layout, the PRD layout, so to speak. Yes, my mic was on.
I would like to read these 2 into the record if you're ready, so we don't forget. Can you hear us, George? Just a thumbs up if you can hear. Okay, good. So it seems like the delay is gone. I received a letter on Friday delivered by hand by Matthew and Alicia Martell, who reside at 9 Mins Lane. It was received December 1st, 2023. And I'll just read it quickly. These are short, so I'll just read them into the record. But hello, as the owner of 9 Mins Lane, we have been notified about the sketch plan review for the United Church of Underhill, located at 422 Vermont Route 15. As an adjoining property owner to this parcel, my wife and I would like to bring to your attention that we have a right-of-way on the west side of our property. We are asking you take this into consideration during the planning and review process for the listed above applicant. Our future plans for our adjoining property is to develop residential lots at some point in the near future. We'd like to make sure that we do not have a negative impact. I'd like to make sure that we do not have a negative impact on our property or land value. I'm not sure of that sentence, but I think what he's meaning is the application not have a negative impact on our property or land value. We very much appreciate the United Church of Underhill, what the United Church of Underhill is proposing, and look forward to working together as needed throughout the process. Sincerely yours, Matthew Martell. The second I received via email today was received December 4th, 2023 by Theodore and Diane Alexander. They do not state where they reside. However, they were on the certificate of service. I know they're adjoining landowners. I believe they own some undeveloped lots to the north of the property, subject property. We are unable to attend the sketch plan review meeting on December 4th. We'd like to submit this letter to you regarding the subdivision of land located at 422 Vermont Route 15, owned by the United Church. Over the years, flooding has occurred several times in this proposed building area. In 1996, Roaring Brook flooded this area, leaving it under over a foot of water. That may seem like a long time ago, however, it has been underwater at other times since. The question we have for you, is this site considered a flood zone by the town/state? If so, will these units be allowed to be built regardless? We realize the pressure is on the towns to offer affordable housing, but is this the appropriate location? Question mark. A second question is regarding property values. Last spring, we purchased 2 abutting lots of property being considered for subdivision. Would building low-income housing adjoining our property have a negative impact on our property value? Question mark. Would our property and others nearby suffer a loss in current value? It's a question. We feel these are legitimate questions and concerns as property owners and taxpayers. Thank you for hearing our concerns, Ted and Diane Alexander.
Fred, they didn't provide an address? You have no idea where they are?
as they stated in the letter, they purchased the two adjoining lots that are undeveloped. That was the last Jacobs subdivision, the last two lots you approved to the north, in the northeast.
At the end of Harvest Lane.
So the way we do this, according to the script at least, is we go in a room and make sure everyone had a chance to comment. Final comments we're looking for. At this point in time, I'll speak for the board, is that we don't think we have enough information at this time. Primarily a density plan is what we're looking for to rule on the application. We want to be convinced that 9 lots is the capacity at this parcel or more, in accordance with our zoning regs, before we would go on to grant sketch plan approval. We'd like to continue the hearing and look to the applicant or their consultants to ask us or to respond to us and say, how much time do you need to come up with a sketch plan? George, are you speaking for the church or?
Yes, I'm their consultant, yes.
Yeah, so did you hear all of my comments?
I did, yes. I made a bunch of notes about the density plan notes there. So I think I have an idea what you're looking for.
Yeah, some of the comments that Brad ran into the record are indicative. This parcel's been known to have some stormwater issues, and believe it or not, all of the development on Jacobs Hill Road and Mims Lane, we required some kind of master stormwater plan. And the developer on that project did a lot of infiltration with regard to stormwater management. So we've got to be real interested in stormwater on your final design. But before we get there, how much time do you need to give us a revised density plan?
Yeah, you guys meet twice a month, or what's your meeting schedule?
So we're twice a month. We're the first and third Monday of the month. Next month is January 1st is a Monday, I believe. So we're not going to meet then. But if we meet on, what's the next one, 18th?
We are meeting on the 18th.
That's
for conditional
MLK
use.
weekend though, right?
What's that?
That's MLK weekend.
No,
That is.
no, the 18th of December we're meeting.
Oh, right, yeah. You think, so you have an option for the 18th of December, or you'll have to go to January. What's the open hearings in January?
Yeah, January we'd be looking at, the 15th, which is Martin Luther King weekend. We could probably stagger it, go the 8th and the 22nd. I have the 22nd here with a question mark. So we could do the 8th of January as well.
Yeah, so George, how much time do you need?
How far in advance would you like a chance to review the plan? Do you need it a week ahead of time, or what's your typical submission schedule?
So for sketch plan, we could probably even take it night of.
Yeah, so you
It
got to
doesn't have
get
to
on
be
the
really
mic
detailed.
here.
We just want to see the density.
Otherwise, we're not recording. So whoever's going to, as we're conversing here, we should be on the mic. Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
So what we're trying to get out of you, if you didn't realize this, is we want a date that you'd be ready to submit a density plan to us.
Yep. I think we can make a good run for the 18th if there's not too much on that agenda already.
We have one other item on the agenda that night. It's a site plan review, conditional use review for a single lot home. So how does the board feel about the 18th?
18th is fine, I won't be here, I'll be away.
Okay.
I'll be.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4. So we have a quorum at least for the 18th. So we can continue this to the 18th of December, which would be 2 weeks from tonight. You'll be second on the agenda. Sure.
Along with the density plan, I would like you to address some of the historical flooding in the area. I think, was it the Alexander's concern? If you could look at that a little bit and come up with a plan on how this area would, I don't know what the level or elevation of these houses are being built at or filled, things like that, but that's a significant concern, I think. I've been here 35 years. I've seen underwater 3 times.
Yep, no, we were aware of that somewhat issue. I can speak to that a little bit. On the plan now, we are showing those house sites on 2+ feet of fill through there with a diversion swale uphill to the anticipated stormwater structure, some culverts to provide migration, and a swale along the low side to direct everything to that stormwater structure. So we're aware that there has been some stormwater issues in that area, and we're certainly trying to take that into account in our design.
And anyone else? Putting together a shopping list. Press the button.
One other thing, Penny Miller, I think that it might be reasonable for us, the DRB, to remember that there is an option for technical review. This is a pretty large project for us, and this is a low-lying area, and we do have the option to have another engineer look at someone's calculations and look at someone's plans if we'd like to do that. That's something we can do, and I don't know at which stage we would invoke that or not.
So the purpose of sketch plan is to get concerns addressed so that when they prepare detailed engineering drawings. So we haven't given them approval on anything. So it'd be premature to ask them to do detailed calculations on anything that they've submitted to date. Well, the process here is we want to be convinced of density. Then we'll move forward on the sketch plan application, which is essentially the layout. Concepts that we would review as water supply, wastewater disposal, stormwater, and traffic. Those concepts then can get submitted in detailed engineering calculations for review at preliminary plat. Because this is a planned residential development, the board will automatically classify it as a major subdivision. So there'll be 2 public hearings. It'll take as long as they take. The preliminary plat public hearing is typically when we see a lot of the engineering information. The final plat public hearing is when we typically see a lot of the homeowner association documents and other covenants that we may or may not impose on the project. This point in time is what we're looking for concerns from the board. So right now, there's a flooding concern, there's a stormwater concern, there's a density concern. There's a septic concern, there's a homeowners association concern, and there's a phasing concern by members of the public. Anything else that we didn't talk about? You guys hear me online okay?
Yep.
All right. So what I'd like to do, George, is we're going to continue this application review to Monday, December 18th. I'm going to call it at 7:00 p.m. It may run a little later than that. It'll be up here in the Underhill meeting house, I guess, Underhill Town Hall. And please be prepared. If you're not coming to the meeting, please make sure Brad has electronic copies of whatever documents you're going to submit before the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right.
Can do.
Apologize for the technical difficulties here. I'm kind of thinking it might be a wiring. It's kind of an intermittent problem. So there's a lot of use in this building. People come in here, they push the tables aside. A lot of wires get bunged up and moved around. So I'm glad it worked out here in the end. The delay seems to be gone. So you want to just give it one more chance in the video world out here if anyone has anything to say? Sorry that we lost the person before, but
Why don't you type it in the chat? Just any other comments from anyone?
okay. I think they can all hear us now, but yeah, I will.
Hi, it's me, Dory, again. I just want to say that I think the stormwater runoff issue is very, very important. So I'd like to hear more about that next time. Only because the stream that's out here really cannot take any more water. It's already full, almost up to the road. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. So we've continued the application, so we'll move on to other items in our agenda. You guys are welcome to hang out for that. If not, we'll see you on the 18th.
Thank you.
So we have minutes to approve. We have job captains to lay out.
So I circulated the minutes from October 16th and November 20th to 7 days ago, maybe. And I provided you copies here on the desk.
Yeah, so let's start with the minutes from October 16th. Myself, Matt, Karen, and Dan are the only people who really should vote on approving them because we were at the hearing. We want to take a minute to review them? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the DRB minutes from Monday, October 16th, 2023.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes by Karen McKnight. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
The motion is seconded by Dan Lee. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the minutes of November 20th. This is our regular scheduled DRB meeting. Members present at the meeting who are there tonight are Matt Chapik, Karen McKnight, Meg Armstrong, and Matt Chapik's there twice. So you want to take a minute to review the minutes, or a moment to review the minutes?
Me too. Yeah. Or have. That's right. But that's the interpreted. They have to be able to lay it out a conventional subdivision.
I'll make a motion to approve the November 20th meeting minutes.
So there's a motion to approve by Matt Chapik. This is the minutes of November 20th. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Meg Armstrong. Any discussion? I've got one correction. On the board members present, Matt Chapik's listed twice. So if we could scratch that out, that'd be fine. You don't get extra credit for coming twice.
That's because of the confusion over the carpets.
Yeah, true.
The red part.
The red parking, yeah. So all those in favor of approving the minutes from Monday, November 20th, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Our next move is to upcoming schedule and job captain. So as you all heard, we've got the continuation of the conditional use review / site plan review for the building at 459 Pleasant Valley Road on Monday, December 18th. And we have the continuation of this sketch plan at night too.
Unfortunately, I gave him a deadline of Friday to submit, submittals, materials, and I haven't seen anything. I bugged him today. He said he's been out of power up there in Jay and so forth. But typically, I mean, it's a 15-day, it's a rewarning of and the materials should be ready 15 days. It was in the paper, so I'll give him till tomorrow.
So you warned it though?
I've warned it.
Yeah.
But if materials aren't, somebody wanted it, no one's asked me for materials, so.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah.
I don't know how long.
That's going out on a limb for a guy.
It's going out on a limb for the guy, yeah. He told me he would have everything prepared. Well, you sat down there, or you heard him.
Yeah.
So I'll give him tomorrow. If I don't see anything tomorrow, I would have a tendency to cancel the hearing, but that's just me. But
you can't cancel it because we continued it.
No, we didn't continue it. We rewarned it.
We rewarned everything.
Right.
Something is added to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is some stuff online. It's not like,
yeah,
it's not like no one knows what's being proposed, right? So hopefully it's here tomorrow.
So okay, we've got a busy dance card in December.
We also have
2 holidays in January. We could take the whole month off and come back in February.
Yeah.
Or we could go to 8th and the 22nd.
Or we go the 8th and the 22nd.
Yeah.
I think so too. But we also have the Butler preliminary decision need some help on. Unfortunately, we need to get on that. So we had a great candidate for the job, and we made an offer, and he's accepted a position in town of Shelburne instead. So the person, the candidate, confidential candidate, has accepted a job in St. Albans, or Shelburne, sorry. Anyhow, so the search goes on.
So I would suggest that you pull the sandwich board out of the road. Just pull it, stick it behind the building until after Christmas, and then put it back out and see what you get. Because nobody sees it anymore. It's there. It's been there for 3 months.
Yeah, I know, it's a great.
Yeah. And then I can only guess why he went to Shelburne over us.
How competitive are the salaries?
We are, what we offered him was the average salary of planning and zoning, and that's people with years of experience, no experience, some experience. It's the average. So we offered someone with no experience the average wage in Vermont.
So that's information is from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, that salary stuff?
Yes, and
Yeah.
other information we
Yeah.
gather from people that will share.
So I'm taking the job captain for 459 Pleasant Valley Road. Karen Scott Butler's. Matt, you're up for this one. But it's sketch plan. You only get to write, you write the 15-day letter. So.
Doesn't that move into the whole thing, or is it just?
No, it's just, you get sketch plan. Then it comes, because it could be a year, right? We send them away and we want all those studies, right? We're never going to remember who did what a year from now, so.
Right, so that a letter though would come after we've already continued the meeting, so it wouldn't start, let's say it's completed on December 18th.
Yeah, so Matt would be the guy.
But then it starts the 15 days.
Yeah. So because we don't have a planning and zoning candidate and the existing interim zoning administrator is also doing the town administrator jobs, I'd like to revisit the idea of board member taking on kind of like a technical review of the projects as they come in. You know, instead of getting a staff report, we would get a report or a summary of the application by a board member, instead of relying on the interim zoning administrator to do that. You guys feel like that's a good strategy? Regular types? Alternate types, you guys are kind of off the hook. I would, initially I'd let you off the hook because I need to sign you up for an alternate as for another year, starting town meeting day, so.
You would want to work with the town administrator or interim zoning administrator because they know more about. I would think you would want to work with the interim zoning administrator because they happen to know more about the lay of the land and water and the like. Seems like it's would be wise to do that, to coordinate, collaborate.
Yeah, it would be an iterative or consultative review kind of thing. Ideally it's to remove some of the burden from Brad because he's stepping up to be the interim guy and he's also the select board's, support mechanism and all the other stuff that the town administrator does. So that's why.
So technically, like the sketch plan review we just heard, our rules state that when something gets submitted, we have X amount of days to put it on the site plan or sketch plan review, There's really no time for thoughtful review with the regs, like a preliminary review, because I have more statutory days. So you're saying like, possibly if someone maybe reviewed this application for the church, that we wouldn't even heard it tonight. Would that be possible or?
No, I wouldn't have said that. Realistically, somebody reminds us of the components of our regs that are affected by the application. Right, so, this particular parcel has got like 19 or 20 years of history with this board.
Oh, it does.
And Dory Rickety's concerns about flooding have been a recurring theme. And it primarily has to do with the culvert that's along Park Street. It's too flat and not big enough. So it causes all the water to back up along Harvest Lane And in turn, any new water generated by impervious areas on the extension of Harvest Lane, Jacobs Hill Road, or Mims Lane, we required Jacobs to deal with it. And there's a complicated, intricate stormwater management pond on the lot that's on the corner of Jacob Hill Road and Harvest Lane that basically takes up 2/3 of the guy's land area. It's just the overland flow, zigzag detention pond before it comes out. The rest of the stuff up the hill is all directed into the ground through infiltration basins on the downside of the lot that the Martells were saying they owned. And
Which they plan to develop.
which they plan to build, but they don't know, or they're going to conveniently ignore the infiltration basins on the bottom of their property. So, O'Leary and Burke used to be the primary engineer on this, and they've sold us on the idea, like, look, we're managing any new stormwater, we're managing on site. Any old stormwater, we're not increasing the rate of runoff, right? So, and this board has bought into that because we had the calculations, we had the expert opinions, and we had the PEs review it. We just need to make sure that this applicant realizes what they're stepping into when we.
I think they addressed some of those concerns as the site visit, but yeah.
We talked a lot about water at the site visit, that was about, the creeks around.
Standing in the rain, talking about stormwater runoff. Yeah.
This is the first time I think we've seen property lines coming to the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's old timey
Yeah.
property line.
Yeah.
There's not, what's the issue with that? And
No, if we don't like it.
it's a private road, it's not a driveway essentially,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll look at the density calculations with George and we'll figure it out.
So usually what we've done in the past is say, okay, they get 10 acres of land, right? And anything that's over 30% slope, that gets taken out. You got class 2 wetlands, that acreage is taken out, right?
The question is the class 3,
So they can fill up to 15,000 square feet of a class 3, right?
well, we're the only town, so state doesn't, so it's only Underhill that's got the 25-foot buffer on the class 3 wetland.
Yeah.
No one else has it.
No one else in the whole state.
So in a conditional use hearing, right, you could get 50% of that waived, correct?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, how far do you go with a conceptual plan? Do you take it for just exactly what it is? I mean, I've done them before. I've done them for this board before, but it was much easier.
Charlie, I think that we're not directing him correctly with what you're saying, or I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, because if somebody were to do a conventional layout, you can have wetlands. You don't have to take out all the wetlands or the steep slopes.
But the home needs to be placed out of the wetland, right?
Right, but we're talking about lots now. It's how many lots?
No, I get it, but you need to be able to get to the lot.
Oh, yeah.
You need to have an area to build on the lot, right?
That's right. You need to be able to get to it. And it
Get
needs
to
to
it.
be not like you get to it here, you get to the other one here, you get to it here. It's got to be using this piece of property. What would it be like? But when Charlie says that, my brain thinks that he's saying, we're reducing all the acreage. If we took all the wetlands out and the steep slopes out, we've now reduced the acreage to one acre. That's how I interpret it, but that's not what I.
Well,
maybe what
that's
you
kind of
mean.
that is what I said though, right? And maybe it's not what I meant, but it is what I said, right? So we wouldn't need to be convinced that if he wants to get 12 units in there, he can somehow conventionally lay out 12 units, right? And whether or not we remove the wetlands from that calculation, I don't know.
I don't think we have to remove wetlands and steep slopes. It just needs to be a conventional layout.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we have wetlands and steep slopes on other lots and subdivisions.
You're not removing them, but you can't, you need to.
You need to have a
You need
space
to be
for
able to
your
do,
house.
you need to be able to prove that you can access, have a place to build. It doesn't matter if the lot's got wetland or not, but it's got to have enough not wetland to be able to build on, right?
Exactly.
So it's just prove it out.
Just lay out a conventional
Minus the
subdivision.
road.
Minus the road.
Now, are we lots or are we density? In other words, if we can
It
do
says lots and units.
lots and units, so if you can show us a 5-lot subdivision
Right.
with 5 units per lot, you can in theory put in a 25-unit
Exactly.
project.
Right.
I was going to ask that historically, just when I was reading through this packet.
30.
Yeah,
Right.
it was 30 dwelling units at one point.
Right. We were
In
talking.
2018 that Phil Jacobs wrote. So what happened?
That was Phil thinking.
That was Phil.
So they could put multifamily housing all around that lot and get.
5 units per acre.
Right.
But that's different from lots, units.
Right.
So each lot could have 5 units, so you could build a 5-unit.
It's just whether Habitat, that's what they want to do that. They might want to have individual single home family.
But for the exercise you're saying, you could prove
Yes.
density wise.
Yes.
It works with 5 units on a lot and
No.
then say, but we don't want to do that. We want to do this planned residential development with.
I don't think so. I think it has to be number of lots. A conventional subdivision has number of lots. We're dividing, you're subdividing into lots.
Okay.
Problem is if you subtract out the right of way needs to be
Yes.
60 feet. And if you subtract out the right of way for this length,
You're getting a
you're
lot.
probably going to lose a lot right there.
Exactly. Right.
But does it have to be the same? It wouldn't have to be the same right of way for the
That's true.
conceptual.
Except
Well,
the
this
right
is-
way is 60 feet.
This is what I'm saying is
Yeah,
you have this adjoining church property.
Ah.
That you could.
Why couldn't you
You
access
could
through
show it,
there?
you could show it as
right?
that there. Right.
Because it is a possibility. It's not a
Right.
standalone,
Right.
but
That's all the exercise is showing is that it could be done this
it
other
could be
way.
built out. It could be built out in
And
the
this is
anchor
what-
zone.
and-
I get it. We're going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So,
And if it doesn't work, then you can possibly double up with duplexes or triplexes or whatever. If it doesn't work,
which seems silly.
Yeah,
to have to do.
I think if they can show that it works but it works poorly, i.e. there's other accesses and that's not
That's-
attractive, that's why they're doing this.
Exactly.
That's what we've done before.
Right,
Is it
that's-
just works poorly.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why you do this.
I think we can work through it.
Okay.
I think it's, yeah. But I think,
But really, if you have 10 acres and 2/3 of it is wetlands, you shouldn't be able to put 10 lots on it. I mean, you have to.
well, that's different. That's not what this is.
Like conceptually,
Yeah.
if your regs are written to that and you're making another subdivision with lots of security, this guy has to go through.
Right. Yeah. So. We'll work on it. Oh, I've got bubbles downstairs.
Yeah, we're ready for a motion to adjourn. A second?
I'll second.
Awesome. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Motion carries. See you guys on the